Welcome back with another episode of Sports with a Z and a T. I am Bryce Zielinski alongside Taylor Lattimore. We have a little bit of a new look if you're on the visual YouTube side of things. and this has been our first show since before the March Madness tournament. I've been sick, and you can probably hear it. And as the show goes on, you're going to hear it more. I've been sick since the first weekend of the tournament. And this is the first week I've actually felt good enough to do it. It was a great tournament. Not for anybody's brackets, but it was a fun tournament to watch. A lot of upsets, and I was talking to a couple people, my fiance being one of them, who won one of our bracket challenges, not through Godzilla Media, but she did one through my parents' work. Then she just won $320. This was the year that Taylor, it's like the less you watched basketball this year, the better off you were, because logic did not apply. Like Duke making it to the Final Four, we were wondering if they'd make it out of the first round. I mean, you look at Arizona, one of the most dominant teams in all of basketball, loses in the Sweet 16. Kentucky loses to St. Now, nobody had St. Peter's doing what they did, but Kentucky losing, UNC going on a crazy run. I mean, it was just one after the other. Just a crazy tournament. The national championship game last night was phenomenal.
Yeah, no, it was a great tournament overall. But yeah, I mean, it makes it. It's just funny because you and I spent an hour and 45-ish minutes breaking down the entire.
It was done after the first weekend. Exactly. Iowa crushed me, man.
Yeah, Iowa crushed us both in the Final Four.
Me too.
Yeah,
I was devastated. I was devastated about Iowa.
Your bracket was devastated, but that's the thing is this tournament is so hard to predict because it's not like in the NBA. Obviously, like you're not getting a series. In a series, normally, like I'd say 8 or 9 times out of 10, the best team is going to win, regardless. In a tournament that's one game, like just anything can happen in one game, and like it just if you have a hot shooting night, you happen to be playing well on defense, whatever it may be. If you just have the energy on one particular night over another team, St. Peter's against Kentucky, St. Peter's just brought it. They had the energy, they executed well, they had a game plan, and they followed it. And I mean, that's the thing. It's just one game. It's one game. Anyone can win one game.
And the thing about the tournament is you have all of these programs that you've never really heard about. Like I didn't know St. Peter's was a place, and they're in Jersey. I mean, I should know that St. Peter's is a thing. And it just seemed like a lot of the logic. And I go back to Duke. Like you watch Duke. And they were unwatchable in the second half of the season. They didn't seem like they were putting it together. They lost badly to UNC to end the regular season, stumbled in the ACC tournament, and everybody was talking about all this great run that Virginia Tech was going to go on because they're playing as good a basketball as anybody in the country. They didn't even beat Texas in the first round. So, I mean, it was crazy to see just and this was by far my worst bracket. I never have done this bad before. It was, you just have those years that not a lot of logic is there. And I mean, obviously, in the end, the championship, as it usually is, are two very solid, good programs. And that was the case with Kansas and UNC, and a hell of a run for UNC, but Kansas clearly, proved me wrong. I really didn't expect them to make a deep run into the tournament. I just thought they were flawed. This is a different style Bill Self team that typically Kansas has, that's usually loaded with the 5-star, 4-star recruits. I mean, this was a bunch of 3-star, 4-star guys that really had to work together to get this done, and they did. It was gritty. I took Kansas live money line at halftime when they were down 15. I'm pretty ecstatic about that.
I missed on it.
but it was a great championship, and Kansas has the national champions back-to-back years for the Big 12.
Yeah, it's funny how the tournament, like that's why they call it madness, right? It's March Madness, and like just that anything can happen. But you're right, when it comes down to the end, like when you're getting down to the final four, it's like, it's usually the top seeds. Like there's going to be a 1 seed in there, maybe 2, maybe even 3 sometimes. But like it's just it's one of the hardest things in all of sports to predict, and that's why the odds of getting a perfect bracket are like 1 in a trillion or something crazy like that.
Get a better chance of getting struck by lightning.
Yeah, probably more than once. Literally, like it's probably more likely you get struck by lightning twice than you get everything a perfect bracket, and that's why companies or whatever will be like, "Oh, we'll pay you $1 million." It's like you're not gonna have to pay that. It's meaningless.
That's why. Yeah, that's why they say it. They're like, "Yeah, this ain't gonna happen. Never in a million years."
You could flip a coin and you'd probably have better luck than like in this tournament, especially if you just picked them. If you just flipped a coin, you might have just as better as good as odds as us trying to predict it through analysis. But yeah, then the national championship game last night was an epic one. It was one for the books. It was, as you said, a gritty win by Kansas, and just I don't know, man. Like so many things went into that game. Like the injury to Beckott that we thought, well, if he hadn't gotten injured, UNC might have won the whole thing. And then I don't know if you see.
Did you see the footage of?
Yeah, I was gonna say exactly. Yeah. I was gonna say, did you see the footage of like the loose floorboard that basically caused his injury, which is just
sure did.
Like I don't know. Whoever was in charge of that, you had one job.
The thing that confuses me, and I understood it like when these games were in the football stadiums, like the Final Four was at AT&T Stadium, the Final Four was at Lucas Oil Stadium. They had been putting them in the football stadium, but this is New Orleans. There is a basketball arena there, and like, why aren't you like, I get it, you want to get fans in, you want to get more people than an average NBA game will bring in, so they extend the seats out and they put this elevated NBA, or not NBA court, but basketball court. And I never understood that because it's not as secure, and obviously you're professionals, this is supposed to happen, this is a rare incident, but I mean, this is kind of what you get for trying to get creative.
Yeah, and you wonder if the NCAA is going to change, if they're going to crack down on this. Because, I mean, I feel like something has to happen. Like, you can't just let that stand and just, like, because it totally changed the entire face of the game. Like, you give credit to Kansas, obviously, for the comeback, but, like, if you hadn't gotten injured...
Becott's one of their top 2 most important players.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's arguably their MVP. And so, like, you take him out and you have no idea what's going to happen. So, yeah, it's unfortunate to see the championship hinge on an injury like that, especially one. I mean, no injury is good, but this one just seems worse just because it was, like, completely preventable.
Yeah. Great college basketball season. It was good to see fans back in. I mean, this was the first year in 3 years that we got to see fans in the March Madness games. Like last year, we didn't have fans. And then obviously the year before, we didn't have anything. So it was good to see the March Madness atmosphere back with all the bands and the cheerleaders and, just everybody getting crazy for those underdogs. Like, you didn't even have to be a fan of these underdog programs. It always happens that you see everybody going crazy. March Madness is awesome. And if there's like 2 random days to take off during the year from work, it's the first Thursday and Friday of the tournament. It's just awesome.
Yeah, like I like watching St. Peter's like beat Kentucky, and then they run over to like the fan section. Yeah.
Kentucky was at my final.
I know. When that happened, I thought of you because I was like, I'm pretty sure Bryce had Kentucky like going to the Final Four.
I started perfect. I was like 11 for 11. Then back to back, Iowa and Kentucky lost.
Just like that, half your bracket gone.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. Cool.
Okay. Yeah, but like, and then it's just, yeah, you're right. Having the fans there, having like, especially like just to support these, like, I don't want to call them kids because they're not really kids, young adults, I guess. But like to have the fans there to really amp them up, it's just got to be like such an experience
It's
to
different. It's
play for
different
one
than
of these
playing in
games.
front. It's
Well,
different
of
than playing in
course.
front of an empty gym. I mean,
Of
we
course.
can't.
That's why the bubble season in the NBA is like
It was
so
fraud.
highly,
A
yeah,
bunch of
well,
fraud. It was
highly,
fraudulent. It was
no,
fraudulent.
no. I see a lot of people
Yeah,
say that,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and it's just not
Anybody,
true.
anybody but Lakers and Heat fans will say that it was fraudulent.
No, it was different, but everyone had the same challenge. We can get into it, but I just think we should probably move on.
We should, because starting on Thursday, we have baseball, Taylor. We have meaningful baseball, and I mean, we let the off season after the lockout ended play out. Spring training has played out. And what we're gonna do, as long as I have somewhat of a voice and you all can bear hearing the awfulness coming out of my mouth today, we're going to go division by division, look at the divisions, predict the winner of each division, and then we're going to pick the winners of each pennant and World Series, predict some MVP and Cy Youngs, and we'll hop on out of here. So let's get right to it, Taylor. The MLB 2022 preview, just because I feel nice today, where we'll start in the American League, and we'll start with the AL East, which is all of a sudden a very loaded division. And I'm not really breaking any news here when it's, when I'm saying it's not the Yankees division either. Like, the Yankees are going to be struggling to win this division this year. I think there is a clear top team in everybody's minds. That would be the Toronto Blue Jays. We'll get into it. But then you have you have three teams really after that they could come in any order. And really, I mean, any of these four teams that we're about to name could win the division, and it wouldn't shock me. But to me, talent-wise, the Blue Jays are the best team, and then you have the combination of the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Rays there that really are going to be beating each other up all year long, trying to chase down. I mean, I would expect 2, maybe even 3 playoff spots coming out of this division. But when I'm looking at this, Toronto is the team for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say that the Yankees are, but I'm realistic, and I'm not going to say that. But I could easily see Boston slipping into that top spot too, as much as I hate that. Um, like I don't want to say that the Yankees might be the worst team, but like until they prove it to me that they can actually play at a high level and consistently, I don't know. They're not the top, and I don't think they're particularly close. But yeah, I definitely, I think I'd give it to Toronto. As
The
much as
way
I hate it.
the way I look at it, like the Blue Jays, they were already a very young team that were close to making the postseason last year. The noticeable change this season was, though, that Toronto kind of got those pieces to put them over the top. They went and got Matt Chapman from Oakland. By the way, I don't know what the hell Oakland's doing, but we'll get to that. They have Vlad Guerrero Jr., George Springer, Bo Bichette, Teoscar Hernandez, Lourdes Gurriel. Their rotation is very deep. They have Jose Barrios. They brought in Kevin Gausman. This is a Toronto team. They're going to have thump. They have the fielding and they have the pitching to win a lot of games. And when I look at what the Yankees did, and, obviously being in New York, we're going to talk about the Yankees more than really any of the other teams here in this division. But the Yankees, to me, like, even with an offseason short of major acquisitions, they should be in the thick of the American League picture. But like, they don't have what it takes. It's just the same. It seems like a hamster in a wheel with the Yankees. Like, they have the great lineup. You have a bunch of question marks in the pitching rotation. You have Jordan Montgomery and Luis Severino. Those are your best starters behind Garrett Cole. Now, that doesn't scream a lot of. I mean, you may like Montgomery, you may like him, but I don't know if he can be relied on as your 2. Luis Severino, you don't really know what Sevy you're going to get at this point. And to address their need at shortstop, they lost out to Boston for Trevor Story and ended up having to trade for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Now, I like Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. I do, and I think he's really good. I think he's a good defensive piece, but he's no Trevor Story. This is just enough for the Yankees to jog in place. Like, it's not going to put them over the top. This is a 90 to 95 win team at best that's going to be fighting for a wild card spot to me. And that's not what you like to hear if you're a Yankees fan. That's not what you're used to hearing if you're a Yankees fan, but that's the reality.
Well, the thing is, I think I'm getting used to hearing it the last couple of years because there's always this optimism of like, you know, like every time it's like, oh, this is our year, and like now we're gonna be good if everyone just like hits and like we stay healthy. And then it's like, but you can't expect that because you're always going to get healthy, and you know, it's baseball is a game of streaks. Like you some people be hot, some people be cold, and they'll flip flop. But to hope that they're all red hot at the same time, and that's what they kind of need to be. Like they have to have a couple guys like Aaron Judge and whatnot who are like really hitting and like hitting well and not just striking out every goddamn game. And that's the thing is when your pitching is not great, you need to at least put up runs to keep up with the other team. If you're not going to be shutting people out on the pitching side, then yeah, you need to put up a lot of points. And I think the Yankees just failed to do that. And so every year it's like, oh, on paper they look great. They missed out on guys like Trevor Story, but like, and they didn't make a big move in the offseason, and you wonder as a Yankees fan what's going on up there. But I
think, and the other thing with the Yankees, and it's every single year that we go through this, the health.
Yeah. Yes.
Like I can't
get a better training staff. What is happening?
It's always if with the Yankees, and I until they prove that they could stay healthy, I'm just not going to believe in them, especially when you have a team like the Rays. Like, look, the Rays feel like they are in, you know, they are just the shiny beacon on the top of the hill for how to run a farm system and bring guys up. The Rays are this team that they just crank talent. They let it go when they know when to let it go, and they bring up the next batch. They made a run at Freddie Freeman. That's how they feel where they are as a team, and that's not exactly an organization that you go and see make that big splash. I mean, they are, you know, building around Wander Franco, who is unbelievable. They brought in Corey Kluber on a one-year deal. They beefed up their bullpen. Standard expectation for the Rays pitching to thrive, and this year should be no different. The lineup mostly intact, slugged the same as the Dodgers, and hit one more home run than the Astros last year. So this lineup is lethal. If there's a drop-off, it won't be a drastic one, and that's what I mean. Like, the Blue Jays got better. The Rays stayed the same, if not got better. And you look at the Red Sox, they got better. They're the one winning team in the division that stand to take a step back in a way, though, because of the pitching. They brought in Trevor Story. That's going to inject life into this lineup and that fan base. They brought in Michael Wacha, James Paxton, Rich Hill to one-year contracts. They did lose Eduardo Rodriguez to free agency. But, like, in this deep division, those three teams, can you confidently say the Yankees are better than any one of them? No. The only team you could definitely say they're better than is Gaz's Orioles.
So always will be. Always will be.
And always will be. So, like, it's gonna be tough. There's always one, right? There's always one.
Thank God. Thank God for the Orioles, you know?
Well, the Yankees even though they lose.
I was gonna say
they struggle against the Orioles.
Like I was about to say that, except for the fact that the Orioles usually somehow beat the Yankees in game, but we always, you know, have the better record. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It feels like the Yankees are trying to be the Rays. Like they're trying to mold themselves into, let's bring up our guys and we trust our guys in development. We can develop. We don't have to spend a lot of money on a Trevor Story. And I'm just like, you can do that. That's an option. But you're not that good at it. You're okay, but you're not that good at it. And so until you start proving that you're good at it, why not pepper in some free agent? Get Trevor Story.
as my good buddy, he lives down in New York. I went to school with him, graduated with him. He's a diehard Yankees fan. He says, "Enough is enough. Let's just start being the goddamn Yankees again." Like,
That's
and
yeah, I
it's
agree.
I I don't blame him, and we'll see. But when it comes to picking a winner in this division, Taylor, I kind of let it leak out who I thought. I'm going with Toronto in the AL East to win the division.
I think I'm gonna go with the Rays because we've already seen them do it. I won 100 games last year. I they can definitely be that team again. And like you said,
Oh,
they
absolutely.
at least stayed the same, if not got better.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
bringing in who they brought in, getting Corey Kluber. I think it's gonna only help the team. And so I definitely think it'll be a close race, but I think the Rays pull out of it, pull it out.
All right, so let's head to the AL Central. The White Sox are obviously the cream of the crop for in most people's eyes there in that division, but you also have a Twins team that surprised a lot of people getting Carlos Correa. You have a Tigers team that's young and got Javi Baez and seemed to be turning that corner from being the basement of that division. You have the Royals, who all of a sudden, when you look at their lineup, it ain't that bad. And they're starting off the season bringing up very exciting prospect and Bobby Witt. They brought back Zach Greinke to head that rotation. The only team is the Cleveland Guardians now. The Cleveland Guardians are going to probably bring up the rear of this division. But when you look at this division, Taylor, I have a hard time when you look at the White Sox. Eloy Jimenez is back and going to be fully healthy. You have Luis Robert, who is a sneaky MVP candidate this year. Um, the division got better, but the White Sox, to me, are still the class of this division. The offense shouldn't be a problem. Um, and their rotation to me is still very good, led by Lucas Giolito and Dallas Keuchel, Michael Kopech. You have now in the starting rotation. This is a White Sox team that a lot of people last year liked to make a push for the World Series, and they certainly have the talent to do it again.
Yeah, I would totally agree that they are the cream of the crop in that division, and they picked up Joe Kelly, who shores up the back end of their bullpen. And I just like Joe Kelly a lot.
That bullpen's loaded. They
Yeah,
they they dumped Craig Kimbrell because they didn't need him.
yeah, exactly. And so yeah, I mean, like I'll say it right now. I'm gonna predict that the White Sox are gonna win this division because yeah,
Yeah,
they're just the class of it, like you
I
said.
mean, we're not going to spend much time on it, but I mean, the Twins got some nice pieces. Yeah, they got Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela from the Yankees. They brought in Carlos Correa, but they're not there yet. They're a threat.
Yeah,
But
they could be very sneaky, and I wouldn't be surprised if they win.
but like they don't have much pitching. They don't have much, to be desired there. And then you look at the Tigers. This should be a better team. I think they're still a year away though. Like they brought in Javi Baez, signed Eduardo Rodriguez. They're starting off the year with Torkelson starting up at the big club at first base. You still got Miggy there. You got a bunch of young pitchers. I mean, led by Casey Mize. There's a very exciting group of pitchers there in Detroit. I just don't think they're there yet. And then kind of the same thing with the Royals. Bobby Witt. You got a couple more prospects that are going to be coming up at some point in the year. Like I said, they brought Greinke in. They still have Benintendi in the lineup as well. Salvador Perez, one of the better catchers in all of baseball. So the Royals are going to be competitive. And then the Guardians, there's just not much to be excited about with them right now. It's hard to compare them to the rest of the division because, they're rebranding. They're kind of also rebuilding. They didn't do much in the offseason. They could not afford to be quiet and expect improvement, and that's exactly what happened. The Guardians are going to pretty much sit in the basement, I think, for the majority of the year, but I think we both agree that the White Sox are going to win the AL Central. Let's go to the AL West, where it's another very good division, Taylor. The Houston Astros, who, really impressed last year, went to the World Series, lost to the Braves. This is their division to dominate when a lot of people thought maybe last year was the year of decline. They lost Carlos Correa, but they have their top prospect in Jeremy Pena, who's supposed to fill in there. Zach Greinke was replaced by getting Justin Verlander back in theory. They have still very good pitching. Kyle Tucker is a stud. Yordan Alvarez has emerged as an all-star as well. This is still a very good Astros team. Also in that division, you have the Angels with the combination of Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. We're still waiting for them to kind of piece it together. They did bring in Noah Syndergaard. They have Anthony Rendon back. They have a lot of talent. If the Angels can't figure it out this year, I just have nothing for you. Seattle was a surprise last year. They're back and added some pieces, Robbie Ray, Adam Frazier, and then the Texas Rangers brought in Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. So the Rangers are starting to feel themselves again. And then you have the Oakland A's, who their payroll is the exact same as Bryce Harper's salary will be this year, $33 million. The Oakland A's
insane.
may not win 60 games this year. They did a full sale, just complete tear it down and move on type off season. So that brings up the rear of the AL West, but outside of them, a lot of good talent here.
Yeah, and I just the A's literally they just cleaned house, took everything out, and they're gonna rearrange everything and
Garrett Cole and Mike Trout make more. Bryce Harper makes the exact same as what the A's total salary will be this year. So.
Yeah, this is the definition of what we might call a rebuild. But yeah, I think in this division, the Astros are always going to be there. But I would really like personally to see the Angels put it together because, I mean, as we've talked about, it's been talked about over and over again. And Mike Trout is one of the greatest players to ever play baseball, but no one even knows him because the Angels have just been irrelevant for so long. And the fact that they have one of the youngest, brightest stars in all of baseball and one of the most exciting players who does something that, is generational at times. I really want to see them be showcased. I really want to see them go far. I want to see them make the playoffs and make a push in the playoffs. And I would love to see them in the World Series. It would be great for the sport of baseball because I think that Shohei Ohtani, even though he can't speak English, who was that? Stephen A. who said he couldn't be the face of baseball because he couldn't speak English. Ridiculous. Because I don't care what he speaks. I know what he looks like, and that's the only reason I know what he looks like is because he is one of us, a superstar that they're marketing too. He was on
the cover of MLB
the show. Exactly, and
great game by the way.
And I know what Mike Trout looks like, and I can't, people know what they look like. Maybe. Shohei Ohtani more than Mike Trout, I would say at this point because of the exposure that he's getting. So I really like to see the Angels pull this division out, but I don't know if they will, just because they historically have just been not as consistent as the Astros.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Astros to win this division. I just think they're the best complete team when it comes to their bullpen, when it comes to their pitching, and their lineup is still very lethal. I would like to see the Angels make a push, but I think they are set for a wild card at this point if they do make the playoffs.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Angels will win it.
All right. I mean, I get it. I totally get it. I'd be all for it. Let's go to the National League where you have the NL East, which is another loaded division. Obviously, Atlanta, the defending World Series champions. Yep. You also have the Phillies, who may have pieced together one of the top lineups in all of baseball. Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Castellanos, JT Realmuto, Rhys Hoskins. It is a filthy lineup, good pitching. Bullpen is the question mark, so we'll see there. And then you have the Mets, who were the first to do the quote Steve Cohen tax. And I laughed at everybody that said, "Oh, the Mets are going to the World Series. Look at the Mets. Watch out for the Mets." It's just like the Yankees. If we have not even started the season yet, Taylor, and Jacob deGrom is out for at least 2 months. Max Scherzer's already has a hamstring problem. And the Mets don't have the lineup to really keep up with the rest of the division. Atlanta and Philly are going to be putting runs up by the dozens some nights. The Mets don't have that lineup. They're relying on that pitching. And if you don't have a healthy DeGrom and a healthy Max Scherzer, that entire game plan has gone out the window.
Yeah.
Oh, and you have Miami and Washington too.
Yeah, well, when it comes to the Mets, I mean, I like the attitude. It's the kind of attitude that I wish the Yankees would take at times, just going for it. But in that same vein, you're right. They are injury plagued just as the Yankees are, and it's just DeGrom in general. Like he's it sucks because he's so good and he's like so ridiculous, but he just can't stay healthy. And that's the thing is like you're gonna rely down the stretch.
Like, this isn't like a fluke injury. This is a stress reaction in his throwing shoulder. That's not good. That's very concerning.
I know. Well, it's just like when you're throwing so hard. Like, I mean, that's it's not natural to throw as hard as he does, and so it just seems like his body it can't take it, which sucks because he's so incredibly good at the game, and it sucks for the Mets and their fans.
And you look at Scherzer. He signed that 3-year, $130 million deal, and he was very good, but he also saw his body really break down as the season went on with the Dodgers last year. He wasn't healthy. He did even miss time before the postseason, and he wasn't right in the postseason either. And he's not healthy to start the year. He's already has the hamstring issue. So, like, I mean, you kind of put the 2 and 2 together that I don't think the Mets are going to be in this picture come September. I think it comes down to Atlanta and Philly. Now, the question is, Atlanta, they traded for Matt Olson because they lost Freddie Freeman. They were able to bring back Eddie Rosario. This is a very good team. If Atlanta takes any sort of step back, it won't be because of its own doing. They're going to be very good. The only problem is the division, in my opinion, got better, and especially the Phillies. They added the 2 best hitters on the free agent market this offseason. I mean, you have the reigning MVP of Bryce Harper, who's the primary right fielder. You add Kyle Schwarber and Castellanos to rotate the outfield. You have the runner-up Cy Young and Zach Wheeler. Aaron Nola should be better than he was last year. Very good second half of the rotation. Bullpen's supposed to be better. They brought in Corey Knebel and yours familiar Brad Hand to shore up 7, 8, 9 innings. The NL East race could turn into one of the more fascinating things to watch this season. I think the Phillies are going to be right there with Atlanta when it comes down to it. And whoever doesn't win the division is certainly going to be one of the wild card teams.
Well, I mean, you're definitely. It's nice to have the reigning MVP on your team. You can definitely take solace in that. Whether I think Kyle Schwarber and other additions are going to boost the Phillies that much, I don't really think so. I definitely think you'll be competing. I mean, I think you and Atlanta will be right there.
I mean, Kyle Schwarber is not even the sexier addition. It's Nick Castellanos.
Yeah, I guess so. But still, I think I don't know if the Phillies have enough to keep pace with the Braves, but I definitely see you easily in that second spot and could get a wild card position. I definitely think depending on the Mets, because I do think if DeGrom, I mean, it's so hard to tell with his injury. Like you said, it doesn't sound great.
No, but like I'm not banking on like. He's not even going. I'm just saying. He's not even going to pick up the ball again for it is. But when you're starting it off with a stress, in your throwing shoulder, you're having those types of issues that are going to be more long-term effects. You're shut down for 4 weeks. You don't know when you're going to get back up. I mean, he was ramping up to get game ready, and this came across.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to go back to square one and try to get back into the swing of things. How far back are the Mets going to be by the time he's back? They don't have the lineup to match with the Braves and the Phillies. They just don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
if you want to think Starling Marte is going to fix all your problems, then you're not looking in the right places.
I definitely think that they can be there. They have the potential. All they need to do is, like, as long as Scherzer at least is healthy. I know that he's dealing with his own issues, but if at least he can have a good start to the first half of the season, I think that Mets can tread water at least and not be too far behind in the race. I don't see them falling like way to the bottom.
Yeah.
But
I
but
think
not a threat to win it. I don't think. In my opinion, the Braves will be taking it. I think it's better. The Phillies and Braves will be closer, for sure.
And then another storyline out of the NL East that doesn't really involve the contenders is out of the Washington Nationals. What happens with Juan Soto? Does he get a contract extension, or is he traded at the deadline for a King's ransom? We're gonna find out. But the Yankees are one of those teams that could be in on Soto. So keep an eye on that, especially if you're a Yankees fan. Now, nothing Brian Cashman has done would show that the Yankees would be in serious consideration for Juan Soto, but you never know.
It'd be nice.
It would be nice. Before we move any further, we do have the NL Central and NL West to get to. I do want to remind everyone that we are sponsored by Mohawk Honda, and this spring is the perfect time to get top dollar for your trade-in with the Kelley Blue Book instant cash offer. Same day check in your hand the day you trade in your vehicle. The new vehicles inventory continues to roll in at Mohawk Honda, so to follow those newest vehicles coming in, follow Mohawk Honda on their Facebook, Twitter, and social media platforms, and head over to Mohawk Honda's Facebook page to find out more about this year's pet adoption clinic scheduled for April 24th. All of Mohawk Honda's sales and leasing consultants will work with you to find the best vehicle for your budget and lifestyle. Visit Mohawk Honda in Glenville, New York this spring. Mohawk Honda, where they always go out of their way to please you. Let's go to the NL Central, Taylor, and this is another. It seems like the playing field in baseball this year is starting to level out. Like, you have the teams that clearly have no interest in competing, but you also have teams that are really going to be pushing each other and makes for some interesting divisional races. And we have another one in the NL Central. When you look at the Brewers, the Cardinals, those two teams right there are going to be neck and neck, I think, coming down the line. Milwaukee returns one of the best rotations in all of baseball, which will keep them competitive in the NL. Question is whether it can win games without it. I mean, you have Brandon Woodruff, Corbin Burns, but do you have the offense really to keep up with it? It's kind of like the same conversation we just had with the Mets, right? Like, they have the rotation, but can they put runs up on the board? Christian Yelich having a bounce back season would go huge for the Milwaukee Brewers this year. And then obviously with the Cardinals, they have about as much firepower as any lineup in all of baseball, whether it be Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado. They brought him back, Albert Pujols, Tyler O'Neill out in the outfield, Tommy Edman. This is a good Cardinals team. Cubs in rebuild mode, Reds in rebuild mode, and the Pirates are the Pirates. So we're really just looking at the Cardinals and the Brewers right now.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a two-team race. I don't see either of the other teams even coming close to matching them. And yeah, they both had pretty good seasons last year. And I don't know. I think that the Brewers, if they can continue being as dominant pitching as they are, I think that they have a good chance to win the division again. But I honestly, if St. Louis is playing very well, then it's going to be close. And, one injury here or there, you never know what's going to happen. And if, like, the Brewers can't stay healthy pitching-wise, then, it's going to be a tall task to keep up with St. Louis. So I really do think it's going to be really close, like the whole season. This might come down to the last couple weeks for sure. Who you
As
going with?
much as I like Milwaukee, I really think the Cardinals are the best team in that division. I love their lineup. I think their pitching is very underrated. The Cardinals are always a symbol of consistency out of the NL Central. They always seem to be competitive year in and year out. So I am going to go with the Cardinals. And I think the Brewers miss out on the playoffs entirely. And we're going to get to why here in a second.
Wow.
And that's with the NL West. Look, I mean, this is the Dodgers world, and we're all just kind of playing, in it. And we understand that.
That is so true.
The Dodgers, I mean, what can you say, right? Their top three of their lineup is Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Trey Turner. Their pitching is not as elite as it has been, but it's still very good, led by Walker Buehler. Whatever the rotation is lacking is going to be made up of what is widely considered the most loaded. If the Phillies lineup is not the most loaded lineup in baseball when it comes to firepower, the Dodgers is, and I believe the Dodgers is. I mean, they lost Corey Seager, and you're not even going to notice. It's absolutely stupid what this Dodgers team does year in and year out. I don't expect this team to be any different when it comes to what they do this year. I think they're kind of matchup proof and injury proof to an extent. Like I don't see this Dodgers team really stumbling. Yeah, Cody Bellinger has struggled in spring again. There's concerns there about that. But I mean, look, you have Chris Taylor, Gavin Lux coming in, joining Mookie Betts and, Freddie Freeman. And it's just, I mean, come on. Trey Turner goes back to his natural spot because of Corey Seager leaving. This is a dumb, stupid lineup, and the Dodgers are the favorite once again.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. It's dumb, stupid. It's incredible that they've been able to build the team that they have. It's absolutely stacked, and they don't even have to stay healthy. It doesn't
No,
matter because they have
they
so
don't.
much depth at everywhere. It's just ridiculous. Like they're the team that can lose their best pitcher right before the playoffs and still win. It's just the Dodgers are crazy. And so yeah, easily I'm going to pick them to win this division. I mean,
Now, let's
San
be
Francisco.
clear, though. Like, this is not a cakewalk division.
No.
You have the Giants, who are very, very good.
Yeah.
Surprised a lot of people last year. The betting line of over under 85.5 wins, though, this year suggests that last year was either a fluke or the Giants are expected to take a major step back. I didn't think the Giants were as good as they were last year, finishing
We
107 and 55.
I
But
remember like this time of year, like a year ago, when we
yeah,
were literally talking about this and
yeah,
like how it was mid season. It was like the
yeah.
early season where we thought, oh no, this Giants they've been good, but like they're not gonna keep doing this, and then they just kept on doing it, and I don't know,
They have
it
a
seems more fluky than not.
They have a very good rotation, obviously, with Logan Webb. They brought in Carlos Rodon, which is huge. Alex Cobb, Anthony DeSclafani, and Alex Wood shore up that rotation. But they did lose Buster Posey and Chris Bryant. Buster Posey retired. Chris Bryant went to Colorado in the division. So they lost some firepower. So the Giants are going to struggle to put up runs. We're going to see. I'm sure they will take a step back, but how big of one, we don't know. Then it goes to the Padres. The Padres are one of the most fascinating teams to me because their rotation right now is absolutely loaded. They just put Clevenger on the IL. But I mean, after all, a couple of the trades they did, they have so many pitchers that they don't even know what to do with. But the problem is, this is supposed to be the redemption year, right? They went all in a year ago and it couldn't stay healthy and underperformed at times. Problem. Fernando Tatis is going to be out for up to 3 months with that fractured wrist he suffered in a motor. I mean, he went full on Yoenis Cespedes. Suffered a fractured wrist in a motorcycle accident during the lockout. They traded for Luke Voigt for an extra at bat. I know. So exciting, right?
Yeah.
This is still a very good team, though. Obviously, they still have Manny Machado in the mix. But this is a Padres team without Fernando Tatis. They're going to struggle to keep pace with a Dodgers team that's fully locked and loaded.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just come down to I don't know if any team, and it seems like in all of baseball almost, that has the firepower to keep up with the Dodgers.
No.
It's just this team is ridiculous. Like, I can't say enough about it. It's like the Warriors in basketball. Like, at this point, they are reaching that level where they have like, you know, the potential to have like 6 All-Stars or more on their team. Like, it's
but
just
the thing about
incredible.
it, outside of 2 years ago, it's never materialized. We talk about the Dodgers every single year. Look how loaded the Dodgers are. Look at the Dodgers. Who's going to beat the Dodgers? Somebody beats the Dodgers. And it's just,
it makes it hard to predict.
That's the beauty of baseball, that, I mean, if you get cold at the wrong time, and this applies to any sport, but if you get cold at the wrong time, especially in baseball, and you can't piece together runs, you're going to get swept out of the playoffs quicker than you can count to one.
You can't predict baseball, Susan.
You can't predict that. Well, baseball, or well, Susan, that's baseball.
You can't
John
predict
Sterling.
baseball.
John Sterling and Susan Waldman.
Our guy.
Oh, boy. And then you have the Rockies in the division as well. I don't understand the Rockies. I really don't, because like
Who does?
you had Nolan Arenado, right? And he's the same age as Chris Bryant. You could also argue he's better than Chris Bryant. You traded said Nolan Arenado and then proceeded to pay Chris Bryant more money to come play in Colorado. With the same situation. The Rockies failed to trade John Gray or Trevor Story before last year's deadline. They both walked. And they got nothing for it. It's just a team is bad when it signs a star like Chris Bryant and is still projected to be worse than the previous year. That's just how look. I mean, Chris Bryant got his money. Good for him, because he clearly does not prioritize winning. Because you're not going to do much of it in Colorado. And then you also have the Diamondbacks, who could very well be, if the Oakland A's or the Pittsburgh Pirates aren't the worst teams in baseball.
Come on.
The Arizona Diamondbacks will be.
There's no way anyone is losing more games than the A's. It would be hard for me to believe that.
Maybe they go full Billy Bean, just like they go Moneyball and like make this dramatic push.
The A's?
Yeah,
that would be amazing. I'd be all for it.
It's also not going to happen.
No, are you kidding me? No, not going to happen. But yeah, no, it's all
right.
The A's are going to be. I think they'll be the worst.
I do too. I do too.
They're paying no one.
let's look at our World Series here. When it all comes down to it, we looked at who is going to win the divisions, teams that we think could be in the wild card. Obviously, baseball has expanded the playoffs now, so there's more teams that are going to be involved later. But when it comes down to it, who is going to be in the World Series at the end of the day? We have our top teams, right? I mean, there's this clear, probably 4 to 6 teams that realistically have a shot at the World Series this year.
Yes, I would say, yeah. So I think it's a cop-out to Otis to say that I think the Dodgers will make the World Series, and I know that someone always beats them, but the thing is, I can't predict who's going to beat them, because on paper this team should be beaten by no one. So I am going to pick the Dodgers to come out of the NL and represent in the that side of things. And then for the AL, Otis is so distracting.
He's very distracting.
He's very cute. I am an honest person, and as much as this pains me to say it, I'm gonna predict Boston
Whoa,
to come out of the AL, and
Boston,
I don't
really?
like that. And I say this with, I just
I'm
think
interested to hear why.
I just think the addition of Trevor Story on an already decent team, like they were really competitive last year for the most part. I just think that adding Trevor Story is as a piece that's really gonna push them over the edge, and I just think that it's their year. I think. I just got a feeling, and it's a terrible feeling, that they're going to run away with the NL East
So you're
and win
saying
it.
Red Sox and Dodgers. Okay. I am going to go. I really hate that. I'm going to go with the Dodgers in the National League.
I don't know how you pick against them.
I don't
Even
know.
though I know that they might be beaten, but
I would love to say the Phillies are going to shock the world.
Well, at least you're more sensible than that.
But I mean, they
well,
might.
I'm not saying the Yankees. I mean, I wish that the Yankees would, but
Phillies have a better shot than the Yankees this year.
Yeah, I know. Thanks for reminding me.
I really like Toronto this year.
That much?
I like Toronto. I think this is a Toronto team that is ready to explode when it comes to reaching their potential. They have the lineup, they have the pitching. This is a team that I seriously expect to push for a World Series this year. I am going to go with the Dodgers and the Blue Jays in the World Series, with the Dodgers winning it all.
Yeah, I picked the Dodgers to win, obviously. I mean, again, it's so hard on paper to pick. It's literally like I said, like in the NBA with the Warriors, it's like when they were in the playoffs, it's like, well, I think the Warriors are going to win the title because who else is going to beat them? And you don't expect the injuries or whatever in Toronto to come out of that one time. So like the Dodgers the same way. They're that good that it just I can't see on paper a team beating them in the beginning of the season. Like I don't know. Like who knows? At the end of the season, it'll maybe be different, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited. Baseball's back. I really am looking forward to whole baseball. Yeah. I mean, I nailed down. I'm going down to Philly 4th of July weekend. They have a 3-game series against the Cardinals. That'll be fun.
Nice.
Hopefully, maybe I'll see the Phillies at Citi Field. When the weather gets a little warmer, I don't really want to freeze my ass off at a baseball game. That just doesn't seem very fun. But yeah, baseball's back. And then next week, I'm trying to play out our month of April. Next week we'll probably talk some NBA as the playoffs are now approaching. We just haven't had the time to talk NBA, but the playoffs are coming. And then the week after, I'm in Puerto Rico for my wedding, so we won't be recording that week. And then we'll have our show after that, leading up to the draft, which is, so we'll have our show that we record on Tuesday. And then I know there's a location confirmed for that, for the Godzilla Media draft party. The Eagles are making moves left and right, preparing themselves. I mean, they swindled the Saints out of, got another first for next year. But should be, and did you see Ian Rappaport's tweet? This trade brought to you by the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah. You can I'm just interested to see what the Saints do with that pick, because it seems like a lot to move up.
But the funny thing is, so the Saints have 2 picks and the Eagles have 2 picks. The Saints acquired these picks, but the Eagles still still select in front of the Saints both times.
I know.
The Eagles have 15, the Saints have 16. The Eagles have
seems
8.
Like that's why, because the Colts don't have a first round pick. Obviously, we've been through this, so I have nothing particularly that I'm looking forward to, because I like, it doesn't really matter to me what everyone else does. I mean, it matters because I'm interested.
This is my most anticipated draft I could remember in years.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't have that. So what I'm interested in, especially now that this trade happens, is the picks because
You're going to be
obviously,
sitting next to me as the Eagles
oh
pick.
yeah,
You better hope Howie doesn't fuck it up.
he probably will because I mean he's Howie. So I
Swindled your ass.
yeah, in trades, but he's not the best at drafting.
Hey, last year was pretty good.
Historically,
Last year was pretty good.
It was
Got Devontae
okay.
Smith.
It was okay. Yeah, and what did he do?
A lot.
Well, he was your best receiver, but it wasn't hard to be the best receiver because of the other draft picks he's done.
That's why we're going to draft Jameson Williams, and it's going to be fine.
Anyway,
or Chris
I'm
Olave.
excited. I'm excited. You think he's going to go wide receiver again? Oh,
with one of the two picks, I think he's going to go linebacker, pass rush, and I think he's going to go wide receiver. Yeah, I do.
But anyway, I'm excited to see that because it must have been like the Saints probably like, I don't know if they could confirm with the Eagles. Obviously, the Eagles aren't going to tell them exactly who they're going to pick, but they could tell them who they're not going to pick.
Well,
so
I think the Eagles. I think the Eagles and the Saints have different priorities this year.
Exactly, that's what I mean. It's like I just because you're right. Like I saw that and I was like, that's interesting that like the Eagles traded with them, but they're still picking like right before them twice. So it was like they obviously are not worried about the Eagles picking who they want.
Well, and the
Saints,
I'm
interested to see why they gave up so much.
It's already been tossed out there that the Saints and the Jets are talking for that 10th pick. Like they're going to pair a couple picks that they acquired and move up to 10. I think they like. I mean, you and I have talked recently about it. Like, I mean, if you want a quarterback, this is not the year to want a quarterback. This is why I'm really I mean, how he took this, like the way he structured it this year is. This is Jalen Hurts' year. Like, you're either going to go for it or we have the ammunition to go get Bryce Young or CJ Stroud next year. So it's on you, Jalen. And I'm happy that they did that. Like, as much as I would have loved to have 3 first-round picks this year, to get that second pick next year and to have the ammunition, now keep in mind, one of those picks is the Saints. And the Saints are supposed to be a hot, heaping pile of dog shit this year. So they might not need to move up. But they have the Saints pick. So my logic is they either have the ammunition to move up or they're already going to be there because of the Saints to just take Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. I mean, I think they're going to have to be 1-2, but we'll see.
Well, that's why I'm like, New Orleans, what are you doing? Like, why? Like, why would you do this?
They like Malik Willis.
But like, I'm just excited to see that because I want to know why the Saints made this move. Like, who are they looking for? And I do like trades in draft; those are always fun. So maybe they're just using those for further ammunition to move up. But still, you're not getting a quarterback if that's what you're looking for. And obviously, you know, they do need a quarterback.
It's going to be interesting to see where the quarterbacks actually fall. Like, is there going to be a rush in the top 10 to, you know, overpay for one of these quarterbacks that's probably not going to pan out to be a franchise quarterback? I mean, there might be one in this batch because there is always one, but nobody in this draft class really excites me. And so the week before we'll do a Sportz with a Z and a T mock draft, first round mock draft that week and kind of break it all down. But yeah, there's only two episodes left in the month of April for us because, like I said, we'll have next week. Then I'm in Puerto Rico for my wedding, and then draft. So that's the month of April.
NBA playoff preview. That'll be fun. That'll be real fun.
Trust the process, baby.
Yeah, sure.
MVP'd.
Maybe. Don't know about that.
If he doesn't win the MVP, I will not watch the NBA ever again. Like that is such a crime.
I don't think he's gonna win.
How did the dude is averaging 40 points over the past 2 weeks? How is he not?
Because other players are also doing good things. Like it's like I know you don't want to hear it, but Jokic is pretty damn good.
Okay, guess what? Guess who's better?
Yeah, but how can you say it? By what measurement? By what metric?
Any metric. What do you mean by
Game
what
one
metric?
That he beats him at. Points per game. I'll give you that one. Embiid scores more points in general over the course of the entire season. We're not talking a month. Season is just 1 month. It's a whole year.
Right, and
82 games.
Before the trade deadline, Embiid by himself had the Sixers a game out of first place.
Yeah.
By himself.
and Jokic is by himself, and he has the why am I
The
blanking?
Nuggets in
It-
in like the fifth
in a
seed.
similar record. Yeah, but the records are very, very similar.
The East is more competitive and deeper. I don't want to hear that.
More competitive and deeper than the West?
Yes.
There's no way.
You look at the Sixers, you look at the Bucks, you look at the Heat, you look at the Celtics.
You name 4 teams.
You have the Warriors and
the Warriors,
the Suns and the Warriors.
The Memphis,
I'm not buying into, like, I like Memphis a lot, but I'm not buying into Memphis.
You don't have to buy into them, but you have to give them their props for the season. We're not talking playoffs. We're talking the season. That's why they're the 4th seed or whatever they are, 5th seed. But they have the same amount of wins.
Wait,
I don't know
Memphis?
Where they are, actually.
I think
Memphis is
3,
like
aren't
I was
they?
talking about the Nuggets.
The
Nuggets.
Oh, the Nuggets. I think they're 4 or 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5. They're in there somewhere. I'm not looking at it right now, so obviously.
No, I don't have the time or energy.
But like, but the wins are similar, so it's like we can have more discussions on this next week. We probably should wrap it up because
we hit an hour and
this could go on.
My throat hurts.
We can go for another 2 hours if that.
I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you anymore. So
next week's might be a long episode. So
this was another good week. Hopefully, my voice is a little better. I thank you.
It actually wasn't bad.
It got better as I think, because all day, like, I try not to talk because I know it's bad. So, like, as I'm talking, like, it's starting to, like, loosen up maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't
know. Because off air right before we got on, he was like, I'm talking like this. We'll see if it's gonna be a good day. And then he gets on and you sound pretty normal. Like, it's just
well, I'm trying to, like, I apologize for, like, coughing to the mic, but, like, yeah. And believe it or not, cough drops and Dr. Pepper, I may have found the next solution. But yeah, hopefully next week I won't sound like Darth Vader on a pack of darts. So this, like I said, this week got through. Next week, NBA, wedding, NFL draft. Busy month of April, Taylor. Busy month of April.
Yes, sir.
This was Sports with a Z and a T. We would like to thank all our listeners for tuning in. Keep in mind, you can find us on any platform, Spotify, Apple, and or YouTube. Make sure you rate on Spotify. Our Twitter handles are below. They have been below all episode long. And we are also sponsored by Mohawk Honda, Johnstone Supply in Troy, and Saving Face Barbershop up in Saratoga Springs. Already have my appointment for the day before my wedding. Well, not the day before my wedding, the day before I go down for my wedding, with Jeremiah to hook me up with a nice cut. So gonna lock that in. And yeah. Any final closing thoughts before we get the hell out of here?
No. Everyone have a great week. And make sure you like and subscribe.
Fantastic week.
And comment and rate us. You can rate us on Spotify. Follow us. Get our notifications every time we drop a new episode. You'll be the first to know. Yeah. Tell your friends about us.
There's no higher honor. There's no higher honor.
If you set your notifications so that pops up when we drop an episode, I think that you're pretty cool.
That's it. That's all
if you like us. If you like us that much, like, I appreciate it. We appreciate. Yeah, no,
we do. We do support our loyal listeners, and I know there are.
I know you're
out there. Yeah, there are some out there. There are a few out there at the very least. I don't know if we're still getting views from Germany or not, but
hey, we keep our German people happy.
all that soccer we talk about.
I was gonna say, except we never talk about soccer.
And we never.
Well, maybe we'll talk about the World Cup. Hey, USA made the World Cup. That's big news because we didn't last time, which was so embarrassing. But happy that we made it.
Yay, soccer.
Hey, the World Cup.
Yeah. Boo, soccer. Woo. Everybody have a safe week out there. Enjoy the rest of it. Enjoy the weekend. And we will catch you next week right here on Sports with a Z and a T. For Taylor, I am Bryce. We are out.